Welcome back to the Crypto Rainn channel. So, as you know, the market's heating up a little bit, and we saw some little spurts going. I think we're going to see a whole lot more coming soon, and that's very exciting. So, I know the commitment I made to all of you when I started this channel a little over 6 months ago was that as we grew the channel, we would have on some of the top projects come and speak to you directly, because I know before I started my channel as an investor, I want to hear more from the projects, the CEOs, the teams, to be able to make an informed decision. So when I started this, I asked if you would believe in me and help me grow. I would bring you some of these top projects coming. And through some connections we made on the back end, met some very good projects, also some very good up and coming projects. So continuing with that commitment to bring you some of the best. One of my mutual friends introduced me to a project called IxSwap. Now, when he first started sharing with me the project, I thought, another swap project. He said, no, wait, before you think another swap project, there is something very special about this one. So I was like, sure, I'll hear you out. And when the more he was talking to me about it, I said, okay, absolutely, I want to hear more. And can you set up an interview? Because I'd like my channel to hear about them as well. So I was able to arrange to have the CEO come on and speak with us, and let me bring him on. Julian, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to have you on. So I did share with my audience a little bit about IxSwap, but really not much detail. Would you introduce everyone? What is IxSwap?
Sure. Um, IxSwap is the world's first liquidity pools and AMM for security tokens and tokenized stocks. So, the best way, the easiest, simplest way for the listeners to sort of understand the model is it uses some of the DNA of Uniswap, which when you unpack Uniswap, it's a decentralized platform that allows for the creation of any liquidity pool for any token. And I think that's kind of one of the the unique selling points and one of the kind of really magical parts about it. If you have an altcoin on Uniswap, no matter how big or small it is, no matter what size it is, no matter how many people like it or hate it, you can effectively create the first liquidity pool, and that gives that token, the beginning of its kind of life to kind of grow as a digital asset, and that's phenomenal. I mean, if you compare that to centralized exchanges, it's very, very different, right? If you want to list your altcoin on Binance, it's costing you a lot of money, or any of those exchanges, not to pick on Binance. And it's a normal kind of business proposition, but on those exchanges, there's market makers, there's order books, there's all these kinds of things that make it a business model. So in the end of the day, Uniswap came up with this amazing solution, which went, and what it did, when you look at the trading volumes on DEXs, it basically went from zero to hero. I mean, it went from almost nothing to, I think it was billions and billions in the first quarter of 2021. So it allowed this whole sea of new tokens to start creating liquidity for themselves in a decentralized manner. So jumping back to the security token space. So a lot of people don't know much about security tokens. A lot of people have misguided or misunderstandings about sort of where the industry is and what it kind of represents. So we were one of the first groups in 2017 to focus on building key infrastructure that was legally and technically compliant to launch and trade and custodize security tokens. The difference, well, one of the key elements to do that legally is you need to go get licenses, and licenses literally take years. So the audience might remember the first security tokens in 2017 being not really working. Let's just say that. Why didn't they really work? Because most of them were failed ICOs that no one wanted to buy. The US was sniffing around saying, hang on, all these ICOs are STOs, and everyone went, oh, okay, well, if I call it STO, maybe I'll raise money, because I couldn't raise money as an ICO. The quality of the underlying security was non-existent or very poor. And there was no infrastructure to provide the so-called value propositions of the security tokens. And everyone was saying security tokens are liquidity for liquid assets, trade them anywhere, just like crypto. And that wasn't necessarily true, because there wasn't any infrastructure. There weren't broker dealers, there weren't exchanges, there weren't custodians who also had the blockchain technology wrapped around them. So that was 2017. So we've come a long way in the last 18, 19, 20, 21. We have now several and growing broker-dealers, security token broker-dealers, security token exchanges, custodians as well. Now all that key infrastructure actually is there to provide the legal issuance, trading, and custody of security tokens. So now, as it needs to build up, of course, there's actually a clear path to the promise of what security tokens can deliver, which wasn't here 3-4 years ago. So that's exciting. We built one of the first security token exchanges in Singapore. For the audience, it took 3 years to get that license, since 2018, basically. So it's not like people weren't working on it or didn't want it to happen faster. It was, again, from a regulator's perspective, it was like, here's regulations that haven't changed in 100 years, and here's this technology that's coming at lightning speed and creating this amazing new opportunities. And what it actually was doing, which was a lot for the regulators to get their heads around, as an example, if you have a blockchain exchange with security tokens, you effectively could allow me and you to buy each other's security tokens, and we don't really need anybody else there, right? We have the ledger to record that transaction. We have the transactions that are immutable, all of the DNA of blockchain. In a traditional exchange, there's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 companies involved in that transfer of a stock between you and me, all taking a piece of the action on a fee. And 3 or 4 days later, we get a settlement, right? So this new technology allows now an amazing new way that actually helps the regulators to see exactly what's going on. It removes the risk because it takes away a lot of the participants, and then we have the ledger to keep it all transparent for everybody. So the audience needs to understand, or for those that care, like going into these regulators and saying, I want to do a security token exchange is way better than the old version, and I still want to get a license, give it to me. Well, it took them a while to get their heads around. So they finally got their heads around it. And then we laid all that key infrastructure. And the reason I'm explaining this is because this is the really important point of what IxSwap, why IxSwap exists and what it's meant to do and its value proposition. So now, if you're any type of startup or real estate fund or VC fund and you want to issue a security token of shares in your real asset, and that's the big difference with security tokens and crypto, it's a token representing a real asset. You can do it. You can come to these broker deals and exchanges. So then the last question becomes, where's liquidity? What's the liquidity? How do you get liquidity? And because it's new, because as in literally there's InvestorX in Singapore, OSL in Hong Kong, ArtChat's in London, T0 has been around for a while, they haven't performed that great, but now in these key jurisdictions, you actually have exchanges and platforms to launch these things. Because it's brand new, they don't have market makers yet. And why not? Because it's brand new. When you think about a NASDAQ or something, traditional exchange, it's got all these kind of market makers. On day one, it probably didn't have that many because people were like, what is the market? How do I make it? What are the prices? So this is just normal industry development, and it's coming. All these guys are looking at the space, institutional guys, where how do we do this? And this is the first time I've done it. And yes, I want to mark this, make it, and how's price work and all this kind of stuff. So because of that nature, you don't have liquidity solutions. So that's what IxSwap comes in to fill that void. So IxSwap allows for the first creation of these liquidity pools for security tokens that can be traded legally on these other venues, but it also allows for these first liquidity pools that can be created, and they can be created by the issuers of those security tokens. So the VC fund who's selling $50 million security tokens, he can start the first liquidity pools himself. Doesn't need a market maker, doesn't need some institution to buy into it, doesn't need anything. Just like Uniswap doesn't need, if you launch an altcoin pool on Uniswap, you don't need anyone's approval per se. As long as the project's legitimate and you do the right things, you can start that up. So it's pretty long-winded, but I think it's important to explain what IxSwap is about and why it's needed and what's really going on in the security token space. I think the last thing I'd say now is that what's happened in Q1 this year, which is also another main driver of launching IxSwap now, was you had the first real convergence of crypto and security token space. What does that mean? So over the last couple of years, you've had crypto on the left and a lot of people in crypto, like, boo to KYC and we don't want rules, we don't want all this kind of stuff. And obviously that's all changing and everyone's trying to get normal KYC AML and it's all getting fairly normal, but that's the way of the world. And then you had security tokens on the other side, and some of the crypto guys were even saying, "Oh, boo, security tokens! No, that they're not as good as crypto." And it's like, they're not crypto. They're not meant to be crypto. Crypto's forms of payment per se as a digital asset as well. Security tokens are shares of funds and companies. Like, saying that a security token is stupid is a really stupid statement, because that's just saying you don't want to own anything. And this is a better way to own assets in a token form versus a paper form. But what happened in Q1 was Binance and FTX and a couple of other big guys, crypto exchanges, started launching tokenized stocks, and then, which are a form of security token. And now you start to see the very first in the flesh happening right now, crypto and STO convergence, which is the whole point, one of the major points of the whole thing in the first place. And that's where we're going to start to see an explosion of growth. So that's a very long-winded explanation, but I think it's maybe hopefully important, and it made a lot of sense to the guys on why IxSwap's been created, and the difference with say the Uniswap and the IxSwap model, but also the need in the market for the security token market. The security token, the private markets, which is all the non-publicly traded things, which is the security token industry for private markets, is today like an $8 trillion asset. It's forecasted by McKinsey to double in 4 years to be $15 trillion. So, effectively, today, if everything was tokenized, it's a market that's 8 times the size of the crypto market. Again, not that they're competitors; they're actually, brother-sister type relationship. But just audience information, it's an enormous opportunity that IxSwap's hoping to take the lead in.
Yeah, I think you summarized it exceptionally well in a short amount of time, which is amazing. How much you covered there. It's always made sense to me that crypto made good sense for many things to go to the blockchain. Like, my background's real estate investment. People are saying, oh yeah, there's some project that came out like 3 years ago. It was too early. There's another project that came out like 9 months ago, and it's too early because you need stuff like I keep calling it IxSwap. IxSwap. It is not 9, but my friend that was sharing it with me shared it to me in text form, and I was like, oh, it looks like a 9. But IxSwap, they need IxSwap in order to be able to trade those type of assets or those security tokens. You also need some other steps to happen before real estate's freely tradable. So when I saw IxSwap, I was like, this is one of the steps that needs to happen for you to be able to trade all these things, because it used to be with stocks. When you bought stocks, they mailed you the certificate. Yeah. And that was like cutting edge technology back then. We could print it off on paper and we could mail it to you and it'll have your name on it or whatever. Now they don't have to do that. This can all be represented digitally on a blockchain, which is where it's going, but you need certain things like IxSwap to be able to make that happen. And so when I heard about this project, I think the audience is starting to really understand why I got excited about it when I saw it.
Right.
Probably even it hit them, as you were sharing with what's different about IxSwap. So,
yeah, look, there's a lot to unpack when you start thinking about regulations. It was almost, it wasn't really the wider community's fault, if you will, that they had a negative perception on security tokens over the last couple of years. Because the first guys who were selling them were all selling them illegally because they had no licenses, and they were just guys at crypto conferences saying, oh, here's my STO, buy it, and you can trade it everywhere. And it was like, where can you trade it? And like, oh, everywhere. And, it was like, it was like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't just do that. Securities laws exist because for one main reason, to kind of protect investors, and they're not going to go away just because you have this new technology. And what's also interesting that I don't think people really understand is that regulations, again, are meant to protect most investors, even though usually there's too many of them and there's too much paperwork, whatever. But the general idea was pretty good. And it was born out of heaps of people getting shafted and ripped off over the years. So there's actually sort of a point to this whole thing. But they also don't reference paper. So there's also been some regulators that have kind of got it really wrong as well, because they were like, well, along comes security token, we need new rules. Now, I think we need some upgrades across the board on this, because you need to kind of get regulations to catch up to the tech, and it's always behind because the tech's moving at lightning speed. But my point is, you don't need new rules. Security tokens are legal because they're securities. When the securities laws don't reference paper, they basically reference how you do something, how you're going to raise money, how you're going to sell, how can you invest, how can you tell someone about this deal. And again, a lot of that's got nothing to do with paper or tokens. So we based our security token exchange out of Singapore, where the regulators are very forward thinking and have always been more pro innovation. As long as you're doing stuff that's legally compliant, you're not cheating people and ripping them off. And now you can see leading jurisdictions around the world, Delaware, as when I say leading jurisdictions, I mean like investment kind of jurisdictions, creditable places where there's a rule of law, where people set companies up because there's a rule of law, people are protected. So you got Delaware, you've got Switzerland, you've got Germany, Singapore, a lot of these really important investment jurisdictions where a lot of security tokens, a lot of securities are, therefore a lot of security tokens will be. They've already moved to trialing and trying to approve the issuance of security tokens as the new share structures in those jurisdictions. And what does that mean? So up until now, most security tokens are a token representation of a paper fund, because over the last 100 years, every fund or share issuance has been on paper, as we've talked about. So currently you have this version where you've got a security token that represents my share in that real estate fund or my share in that startup. That's fine. And it's kind of a two-step process. But already, and over the last couple of years, you have these key jurisdictions saying, like, we're going to get rid of paper. We're going to issue all new funds and all new companies in our jurisdiction digitally on distributed ledgers as security tokens. Okay, why? Well, because then they can open up their laptops and they can see who owns all the companies, who are all the directors, who owns everything immediately, transparently. It's better. It's better for them. And that's actually better for companies and shareholders, because, as you would know, paperwork on real estate deals is a disaster, right? You're still chasing around. I just invested in something in Canada 6 months ago, and here's the piece of paper they sent me yesterday. I mean, it's just
Yes.
My point is that governments, the entire infrastructure around sort of regulations and securities is all tracking and trending towards supporting the security token industry and its growth, and that's all massive, positive tailwinds to the IxSwap project, which is really exciting. I think that's what gets us out of bed every day.
Now, I did want to ask, because a lot of my audience are investors, some very experienced, some a little bit of experience, and some brand new. And so they're probably asking themselves a question like, okay, so how can I participate in IxSwap, or when or where can I buy it? Now, some of the projects I bring them are coming down the road, and I like to give them a heads up, which is exactly what this video interview is, just kind of make them aware before the fact, right? Especially in those early days, that sometimes when they're aware of projects that are great, they're able to buy in those early days, which is often the best price.
Yes. Yes. So we... We're not raising huge money. We did raise a first and only round earlier in the year from some strategic investors. So we have a lot of the some really good sort of blockchain funds, heavily out of Asia, but also globally. Really great support there. All of that's kind of written up on our channels. And we're now doing a public sale on September 8th. So yeah, so just in the last couple of days, we've confirmed 3 IDO platforms, and there's also going to be one IEO platform. So we've worked really hard, but it's also been amazing, the appetite and the support we've been given from these really great platforms. The reason we are across 4 platforms is to build the strongest community possible. That's I think that's key. This is not a sort of pump and dump and a short-term type of project. Anyone who's dealt with any securities, paper or tokens will know that that it takes time to build this stuff out. But we think that it's important for us to try to build the strongest community. So we're doing this the token generation event, which people can buy into the public sales. We'll put out the links later on. And what's also exciting about that is, I think, very almost immediately, those investors, whether they're in the public sale or not, can also go buy it on a leading centralized crypto exchange, as well as Uniswap. So I'm pretty sure it's Uniswap. Don't quote me. My guys there'll be a DEX and a centralized exchange, tradability immediately. So it's all happening on September 8th now. We've been working kind of around the clock, both pushing the product development side as well as the marketing around the token project. And really appreciate you guys having us on and helping us spread the word. I think ultimately we've gone through this. I'm really going to call it what it is, because we've been in it longest. This kind of you always have these, I can't remember the name of the curve, but, something starts, everyone gets super hyped, everyone realizes it's hard, it drops back down again, and then all the real work begins. We're over here now. Like, we've already done this first massive thing with security tokens, and those that are in the know and been working hard at it, we're building through that pain, and now that groundwork's laid. So we're certainly on the up as an industry. Just as one touch point, just over a year ago, there was only one security token custodian. And you need a license to do this. To do a custody of securities, you need a license to custody security tokens. But even in one small example in Singapore, there was only one player here a year ago, one startup. Now there's 4. And 3 banks have called us in the last 2 months and said they're launching their own custody. So there's now like 7 to 10 times as many custodians today as there was 18 months ago. And those kind of stories filter throughout the whole industry. So we're keen to build that community and get as many people involved, and those that believe in sort of the tokenization of the world and all these different assets. It's only going to really work if we get the strongest community and everyone behind it. And we've gone through that, I guess, negative perception about what it is, and you now have all kinds of legitimate groups launching security tokens, from banks to private equity groups to startups to real estate guys, and everyone's kind of now starting to really see the industry take off.
Yeah, I've seen the regulators make great strides forward in understanding what is going on. Really surprised at how well some of them understand it, which is fantastic. And then I think the technology has come a long way, because if you think 2017, Uniswap didn't exist.
Right.
There was a lot of tech, even though Ethereum was there and some smart contracts, the whole DeFi sector hadn't really been figured out. So it feels like this run we're a lot more ready with the tech that's here, and also the regulators understanding what's going on, so that they can look at this and understand exactly how this is going to make their lives so much better.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also important that the smart regulators also realize, it's something to the point I think we said before we chatted this morning, like, if you're a regulator, you're also in competition with other regulators in some degree, right? Especially if you're an investment jurisdiction. Why should I launch my fund in your jurisdiction or this other jurisdiction? Well, there's tax benefits, there's this and that and the other. So smart regulators, Singapore's definitely up there, Switzerland's up there. They are pushing it quickly to become very friendly to the security token industry, because then they'll win more business. It's just that simple. It's just simple mathematics. And as you said, I think the US has got to hustle to make sure they don't fall behind. Where in a digital world, you can do things anywhere. So more than ever, it's important that I think that the smart regulators are friendly and innovative about how they're trying to bring all this stuff on board, because it's going, as you know, as we are, at lightning speed, and it exists already. So it's just whether you're going to make any tax dollars out of it or not. It's that simple.
Yeah, the regulators who don't come around to understand it will really just push regulations that then push all the money to flow into all the other countries. So we'll see how this reshapes everything. Yeah. The U.S. has been slow to adopt that. A few other countries and jurisdictions, it does feel like Singapore has been leading the way. And, UK's been friendly in many ways. And U.S. has been a little bit slow, although there's been islands within the U.S. like Wyoming, Texas, and Delaware that seem to be on it and trying to make it as friendly as they can. They do need more push on a national level, I think, for the U.S. to really come around. The U.S. got a huge advantage back within the internet, and they passed very friendly regulations that helped kind of Silicon Valley happen, and it created huge amounts of wealth within the United States that then spread to other parts of the world. This could reverse things, and it could become other countries if whichever countries are slow to adopt this. We will see where the money flows, because I really look at this as Web 3.0, and it really does take the internet, which changed the way everything worked, and then you add blockchain on it, and you add cryptographic encryption. Those two together has just really made us be able to do things with the internet that we could have never done before.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree.
Well, great. I do appreciate you joining us. For the audience, I have at the very end, I have a rap that I had written that kind of reinforces the principles that I share with them on a daily basis about investing in this space. Even though I can't give them financial advice, I teach them the principles of successful investing that made me successful, so that they can hopefully get it. And then I like to bring on the top projects such as yourself, Julian. So I thank you for joining us. sharing with them IxSwap before they hear about it, like 20 days after the launch,
Right.
so that they can evaluate, see if it's right for them, and if they like it, and then they can become aware. Now, are they officially announced, the centralized exchange and
No.
the other ones?
Sorry,
Okay.
the IDOs were announced just yesterday, I think, and then
Okay.
the centralized exchange will do an announcement in 7 days' time. But I think we'll make sure that we get you the links to the 3 different IDOs that you can share with the audience if they'd like to participate in the project.
Perfect. For those watching on YouTube, if you haven't joined our Telegram community, click under See More, and I will, when I get that information, share it there.
Great.
All right. Thanks for your time, Julian.
I really appreciate taking the time, and for all those that listened, if there's anything else you need, just reach out. We'd like to help spread the word, and we thank you for the time. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Came into the space chasing all of the games, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you're good. Was taught to buy when it was boring, like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking at this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. In 2 years time the bull will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. This game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker.